Hello guys, Inslayerclone here, friendly neighborhood incel. Shouldn't say that because of the YouTube algorithm, but it is what it is, I guess. And I'm not sure when I'm gonna upload this video. It's a Friday 11th April, 2025. You know, doing another outside recording because, well, I think I like my outside recordings. It's a good scenery, and well, I get to talk while I do this recording, I guess. Okay. I am on the insert clone bench. Well, when I started to do the outside recordings, well, not actually originally, but I'm on the second place where I got all my information and my intelligence from, I guess. So I got multiple places where I do my outside recordings. I guess this is one of the second main spot, especially I guess when I used to do in November time, like last 2023, I guess. Like November time, yeah, 2022, 2023. I think I even did the Venus Angelic video in December and Christmas. It was freaking freezing that cold, and I think I had snow and stuff. I still made a outside recording video. That's how disciplined I am, I guess. When it comes to these videos now, I guess these recordings. Yeah, I might be freezing to death, but I'm still gonna do these recordings, whatever it takes, I guess, in some form. If I need to get the message out there, I guess. So, today I'm going to be talking about forcing an ideology down people's throats. So, it's not just. And it's not because I watched the Paul Joseph Watson video. There's actually other things in my life personally. So, if you guys don't know, I am a Roman Catholic. I was born in Roman Catholicism. I actually stopped going to the church in 2020 when the pandemic happened. I kind of just wiggled myself out of there. I used that as an excuse to get myself out of that institution, I guess. Would I still class myself as a Christian? I guess so. I mean, I still have Christian belief systems in some capacity, but I'm not like trying to go. Oh, I'm gonna have to get these people and stuff like that, and I got to do that, and stuff. No, what I say, do whatever the hell you want, man. If it's a criminal thing or is it non-criminal and stuff, whatever it is, if you do it, there's gonna be like response back towards it, and I guess that's pretty much that's how I roll with now. You do something evil, there's going to be evil things done to you. You do something good, there's going to be good things done to you. So that's how I roll with it. And then it's your choice. And there was like, I think I said on Discord, I guess it was like some guy on some bridge and stuff. I think it's a bridge, train track bridge and stuff. He was going to jump and stuff for people around him. I said, you know what, I got no time for this. If you want to jump, go ahead. I'm not gonna like be a superman. Gotta explain to him if he wants to do what he needs to do. It's his choice, I guess. Of course, I can't say what I mean to say because like I said, we are the new AI system is very advanced. So I don't want to get like a strike or something. So I'm just gonna say, probably if you're black pilled, you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, but what I'm trying to get towards, right, that people are trying to control you. So main reason why I'm making this video is because of main fact it's like the Lily Phillips situation when Paul Johnson is doing a response video. Oh well, look at what Lily Phillips is doing, and my personal life, that one of my aunties, godmothers, whatever. They're trying to drag me back into this religion and stuff by force. So they're trying to bring me back, right, into religion. I mean, how's that going to bring me closer to Christ? If you're trying to force me to come back, even though I said, you know what, if I decide to come back, that's on me, right? But no, I'm going to go to hell if you don't. That's what my mum said anyway. That that she's going to go to hell. So she's not even doing it for me. She's doing it for herself, right? And that's what I mean to say, that people are trying to use you in some form to get something out of them, right? Right? So what does that mean? Like, people are trying to use you You know, they don't actually care about you, your well-being, your health and stuff, about what you're doing. They just want to gain something from you. The corporations want to gain something. I don't know, husband, wife, whatever. They want to gain something from you. You know, you're not here just to be who you are and stuff. You know, you have to play to the system. You know, you have to play into some like thing for people. I can't just be myself. No, I have to be this person that goes to church or works at this job and something that does this. You know, I just can't be. I can't just exist just to be myself. Unfortunately, and it's just unreal, man. It's truly unreal, you know. But these are the people that I would say they are the most enlightened people in the society. Like they believe they're doing God's work, you know, right? Oh, I'm trying to get these people into my side because if they don't go, they're going to hell. If that's what happens to me, if I go to hell for not going to some building and stuff and praying to him or whoever it is, well, I go to hell. You know, I'm already in hell anyway. Like people think they're not in hell, they're already in hell. They just you get like 30 seconds, a day or 2 days and stuff. You go back to your corporate work slavery and stuff. You know, a lot of people are in hell. You know, and that's why that person where I was talking about, you know, the bridge and stuff, he was gonna do what he's gonna do. You know, I don't know him personally. I don't know his lifestyle, whatever. But, you know, at the end of the day, that's his choice and stuff. He didn't jump. I don't know if he jumped. I don't think so because there's a lot of people around him. And the cops did came eventually when I was walking. When I was further up, I saw the cops coming. So I highly doubt he jumped anyway. Probably just looking for attention, you know. And it's just the same thing with, like, you know, Liam Page, right? If you guys don't know Liam Page, he was like a person that was in one direction. You know, he was like an artist, you know, he was in one direction. You know, he was on drugs and all that, and you know, coping that way and stuff. And instead of just, you know what, instead of like completely like detox. So I'm not talking about like, you know, going to some therapy like or going to some like building to detox because that's temporary like solution, right? That's like, you know, not actually really like looking into yourself deeply, right? And that's what he was afraid of, to look to himself deeply. So he had to use like alcoholism, had to use like drugs and methamphetamine. Many of these celebrities and people, not just celebrities, you know, many of these people, right? They have to use all this stuff to cope with their reality, you know, instead of just looking at it is. They either use methamphetamine and drugs and all that, or they use religion, right? That's another drug, right? They use religion or use community, right? Themselves like just looking into themselves. Like, yeah, I'm not a good person. I'm not really a great person. Far from it, you know. And they're just afraid of themselves, really. You know, that's how I see it. You know, I used to be afraid of myself because you know of because people thought I was weird and stuff, and you know, like when I'm growing up and stuff like that, because I was like, you know, you guys know I do have Asperger's and stuff, you know. I wouldn't say I'm schizophrenic. I even I'm kind of like schizo baiting, I guess, and sometimes on my post online, I guess, but I don't know. Maybe I do have some form of schizophrenia. I need to go and check that out, I guess, you know. I don't know schizophrenia, but I don't know how schizophrenic people do, but I do have Asperger's, so I wouldn't be surprised if I have schizophrenia, you know, ADHD and stuff like that. I mean, people do have autism, do have ADHD and all these other stuff. So it is what it is. If I do have it, I don't have it. You know? All I know that the people that are so-called mentally ill, as society calls them, right? The people like they say they are mentally ill are the most intelligent people. The most people actually wising up to how they have been imprisoned and enslaved and stuff. You know, those are the people. I'm not saying I trust all people with mental illnesses, of course, but I rather trust someone that is mentally ill than some so-called person that is so-called not mentally ill. You know, at this point in time, you know, because it seems like it seems like it that the people that are saying the crazy stuff are the people that you should be listening to every day and stuff. I'm not saying not everyone is, because there are some people out there that are like, it's like it's a binary, isn't it? It's like you got positive crazy, then you got negative crazy, right? So it's like you got the very intelligent crazy people and stuff that say extreme stuff and then stuff like that, but they still manage to have a normal lifestyle. But people still avoid them because of their weird craziness, and they don't have natural way of thinking and stuff. And you got like those extreme crazy people that are homeless and stuff, and they live on the streets and stuff like that. Sometimes they do say some wise things as well, but you don't really want to stay around them because they might become like violent and stuff like that. That's what I mean about there's a binary when it comes to craziness and stuff like that, or mental illness, whatever. you know. I'm not afraid to say I am mentally ill in some form, but you know what? I don't care. At the end of the day, if you're not really like trying to understand the world you've been lied to and stuff, why be someone that's not crazy, right? Because like people that are mentally well and stuff, they're not really thinking at all. In fact, right? That's what I see it as, you know. Just some fucks interrupting my videos trying to get the food and stuff like that. There's a lot of rubbish in the bin and stuff like that, and no one has taken the bin out, and the fox is trying to interrupt my recording and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just trying to say that there's a binary for everything. They say that autism, like ADHD or autism, is a binary. I think when it comes to mental illness, there's a binary also for it. That's how I feel like. So anyway, going back to topic where I was talking about what was I talking about like people trying to control you and trying to get you back into some system, because that's what it is about, right? If let's just say if let's just say I don't know, the creator of God, like Jesus Christ, or the Christ creator, Islamic creator, comes out to down on the ground and stuff, like he comes from the skies and stuff. He wants to talk to people, and he just tells the people, all you guys have been following my rules and regulations, all of it was a lie, right? I do believe many of these people will actually like seriously consider like terminating themselves. I do really think that, you know I do believe that in some form, because the reason why I believe that, they've been told all their life from childhood, from this is how the way it is, and they'll go to like the preachers and stuff, the religious scholars and stuff, then they'll tell them in more information, right? Program information. They see the community, then they have children, and they'll pretty much program their children to think like that. And it's a generational thing, isn't it? Maybe the elitist religious scholars know this is most of this stuff is a scam, and they just use what they need to do. They use their books and their whatever and stuff to do what they need to do to preserve their power, right? And tell, well, you can't do that. It's like I think I said about this many times before about like the Arabs and stuff like that, right? They talk about the most religious continent, the ancient world, the Middle East and stuff is the most ancient religious continent. But the elites, the people in power over there, they do the most degenerate acts imaginable, more than the so-called adult entertainers you see in like on the internet. They're doing like all the stuff that's inhumane. But since they're the leaders of the continent, on the leaders and stuff, they can do that. You can't do that because you're a worker, right? So that's how I see the everything as it is, And some people want to call me like an insane individual thinking like that. It is what it is, I guess. At the end of the day, I'm still gonna do what I'm gonna do in my life. I'm gonna continue doing what I'm gonna do. Right? At the end of the day, if I die, well, it is what it is, I guess. The main point that I'm trying to get towards, guys, which I want you guys to understand carefully, that no matter how much effort you put in life, it can just be taken away, right? The buildings you see in front of me, or some of them are not. There's a park right now, but there's a park, but there's buildings also in the park, right? All these buildings can be taken down within seconds. It took a long time to build these buildings, but it can be demolished, taken down within like a couple seconds and stuff like that, you know? So you just have to understand, you just have to grieve it a little bit. Maybe it takes a week to grieve it, maybe a month. Get back to it, you know? It is what it is, I guess. That's life. And it's kind of funny that you know, it's only been 5 years that I've been out of the church, but I've learned a lot in 5 years than 20 years of being in that church, and being in the church and being in the religious circles, I guess, you know. Because what they say in the religious circles, they just the people that taught me about God and religion, they're just preaching to, like, what's the term? They're just preaching the same messaging that was taught by their teachers and their teachers. They're not actually thinking from logical sense, right? They're not thinking at all and stuff. And some people will say, oh, well, you're just an ignorant individual and stuff. I don't think I am. I don't really think people that think like this are ignorant, right? They just have a lot of questions that need to be answered, that some people might seem as offensive and some people may seem as intelligent, you know? Like I said before, when I asked my mum, I think it's like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, well, maybe not even 10 years ago anymore, it's about more like 13 years ago, no, not 13, yeah, say that 12 or 13 years ago, I guess, about, you know, about the Catholic Church and stuff like that, and doing like blood sacrifices and stuff. She thought I was getting recruited by the extreme Muslims and stuff like that. That's what she thought. Because the reality is, guys, people don't want you to be intelligent. They don't want you to have open up your mind. They don't want you to think about ulterior ideas and stuff. They just want you to think a straight line, you know. And that's what most people think as they is. So, and you know, it's just what, and like I said before and stuff, you're not really free, right? And this is why it's my mission, really, to myself anyway, that I have to really like escape, like, you know, from my situation, because there's no other option left, you know. In order to be free, I have to escape, you know. Like, you know, the guy from, like, what's his name? Manhunt 2, yes, the video game. I can't remember his name, the main character. And he was, like, getting programmed by the serial killer, you know. He was, like, a phantom. Kind of spawned in the game, but, you know, he had to break that mindset that this guy is controlling him, right? He's in his back of his mind controlling his actions. Right, you need to remove that from your mind, you know, because if you don't control it, he will take over eventually, and you now are someone else that you're not originally was, you know. Like I said before, I choose to be me. I choose to be Inslayerclone. I don't choose to be, you know, religious like I don't know, Patrick McDavis or, you know, Liam Page or whatever, or like, you know, Michael Jackson, you know. Whoever it is, I choose to be me, you know, and that's enough. I don't need to choose to be someone else, right? That someone else is fitting an agenda and stuff. And if I decide to wear these clothing, that's my choice, you know, not their choice, you know. So, I myself, I would say, like I said before, I don't really like tattoos. I don't really like people with tattoos. I think they are like, reason why they're doing tattoos, I think like they are lacking something in them, and that's what you saw with Liam Page, you know. I mean, he was a big fan of tattoos and stuff like that, and yet he still couldn't cope with the fact, oh, I need to be reminded about where I came from. That's why I tattooed my body and stuff like that. You don't need to do any of that. That's just all like, sorry about that. That's all like, you know, what do I call it? Sensationalism, you know. Another form of sensationalism, you know. That's what tattoos are, you know. That's what they do. They're not really actually there for actually your mind and stuff, which I've said before. I got a lot of like scars on my body, right? I can cover those scars up with tattoos, but I've refused to do that because you know what? You know what? If that's where I came from, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. You know? I mean, if I decide, let's just say in the future, I get hit by a car or a bus, right, and I have to get like, I look as I is and look at I look like like a ghoul from Fallout 3 and stuff. You know what? If people don't want to be around me, that's fine. I don't really care anymore. Because once you start, and I know this is like contributory, they contradict the black pill because black pill is all about lookism and stuff like that. Fact of the matter, if you have to like look a certain way to attract people, most likely those people are not going to be on your side. They're just there because you look nice and stuff, and they can gain something from you. They can gain something from you. They're not really there because they're not there because they actually care about you as like an individual when it comes to wisdom. And like I said, your family members do care because they see you as like your family members, right? And stuff like that, But they only care because they see you as the child that you was before, and so they don't see it as an individual. They don't have an imagination that you could be like, I don't know, this person, right? It's just like with the adolescence thing with Andrew Tate, right? They don't want to think that maybe their son, father, brother, whatever it is, they can be like Andrew Tate or whatever and stuff. When Andrew Tate or whoever influencer, they think, oh well, my father can't be like that, or my son can't be like that, and my son. Like I say, I know that adolescence propaganda, but it's only there to demonize men furthermore, especially like white men in England. But the reality is, we are all like that. Doesn't matter if it's women's, men's, white people, black people, Asians. Everyone is like that. We all are capable of evil things and good things as well. Because I go to like some building every Sunday doesn't mean I'm evil. Of course, it can still be evil and stuff. You go to a building, doesn't matter. I just say outright, I'd rather be like Megatron than be Optimus Prime, because at least Megatron, he has a distinct vision of what he wants to achieve. He wants to save his the Cybertronians. While Optimus Prime, he believes, you need to protect everyone. That's why he decides to destroy his own race of people. In the movie and stuff from 1 to 3. When I'm talking about Transformers, I'm talking about the Bayverse movies from 1 to 3. I just say, what I just say, if you're going to be yourself, you're going to have to be evil eventually to society. Society will deem you as evil because you're looking out for yourself for the most part. And that's what villains do. I mean, that's what villains mostly do. Look at Green Goblin. He was looking out for himself, He was about to get kicked out of his company. He decided that's not enough is enough. I'm not going to allow that to happen, right? And that's why he took matters in his own hands, Look at what's his name? Look at the Joker, You can say what you want about the Joker, but in the movie itself, 2019 Joker, right? Society was beating him down. Children are beating him down, right? And he decided, you know what, I'm tired of being like a punching bag, and I'm going to take that matters in his own hands and stuff, And all sorts of other evil so-called characters in movies and comics and whatever, games and stuff. I'm not saying you should justify their evil and stuff like that. Some of them are pretty extremely evil and stuff. Some are not unforgivable, like, who I'm talking about, like people like, Epstein and all that. Those types of people, I don't 100%. I am 100% against them. Those types of people. But how can I see it as if they choose to do that? Well, like I said before in the beginning of this video, if you do evil things, evil things gonna happen to you, right? If you do good things, there's gonna be good things gonna happen to you. So You know, that's why I said in this video, everything is a choice, isn't it? And that's what my message is. Like I said, children are evil as well. I mean, I talked about this, I think about 2 years ago, in fact. Yeah, it should be 2 years now from now. That I think I did mention it a little bit. A 10-year-old child and stuff. I think it was like 2013, 14, I guess. Like she smashed like a one like 2-month-old baby, right? A 10-year-old girl and stuff. And people say, well, no, she has mental illness and stuff. No, she chose to do that, right? She chose to do that, and then and then you wonder why and stuff. Like you wonder why how this world is corrupted, because people don't want to believe that everyone's capable of evil. Every single person, even an infant, is capable of evil in some form. I don't have no there's no idea or just environmental factors and stuff. Yes, environment does play a factor of not being evil, but the reason why you're probably not going to be as vicious and stuff like that is that what's the term? Is that you're going to be you're going to have a bit more comfortable life, right? And most factors, the people that gave you that comfortable life probably was doing evil things in the past and stuff to give you that comfortable life, real comfortable life. So you don't have to be evil, right? Selflessness wouldn't get you anywhere for the most part. It will eventually lead to your downfall, Being selfish is the wise decision in a society that is corrupted top to bottom. So this is how I see it, man, and society wants you to control you because these people are not good people. My auntie's not a good person. If she believes that forcing me back into a religion and stuff, I mean, I'm not trying to say she forced me back and kind of lied to her. Oh yeah, I'm still going to church, but I'm not going to church anymore. I say I'll go to a different church and stuff like that. But if we can't just accept it as it is, just leave me be and stuff like that, you want to now force me back into a thing that I left about 5 years ago and stuff. There's something wrong with her, not me, right? There's something lacking in her, You got all these people believing in something. Quite frankly, it's not even beneficial in their own lives and stuff. Like I say, I think I live a more Christian life than most people live every day and stuff. They only go to the church for an hour and stuff, and then once they come back, they do all their evil things that they're doing and stuff, because, well, we're all sinners at the end of the day. All go to the confession and stuff like that, confess to all my evil doings and stuff like that, and I go back, I work out corporation, right? That's probably doing evil stuff. I mean, my mum is included in this. I mean, she supports a party that supports abortion and stuff, even though she's a Roman Catholic Christian. But if you truly believe in that ideology, you wouldn't support abortion whatsoever. If you really are a true Christian, you wouldn't be pro-abortion. You'd be anti-abortion. But it is what it is, I guess. So. And that's what I mean. Most people's philosophies can be destroyed by their actions, by themselves. Action speaks louder than words, like I said before and stuff. If you're doing something, it takes a lot more strength than talking about doing something. And it's hard for me. Like I said, I want to be a game developer. I want to be an artist, like a painter, comic book writer, whatever. And it's hard to even do that. I mean, I'm doing it right now, and it's taken a lot of skill. It takes a lot of skill to actually be somewhat competent to do that. But you know what? At least I'm still doing what I need to do to get to where I need to get towards. Even if my drawings look like childlike drawings and stuff, imagery, at least I'm still doing what I need to do to get to where the destination is. So. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it here. It's been like 30 minutes and stuff like that. And yeah, it's kind of night time now. The sky is not blue anymore and stuff. been talking about 30 minutes, I guess. And I really do enjoy these like long, rants and stuff like that. I think it's very great and stuff like that, just to empty out the magazine and stuff like that. So anyway, more videos are coming up. I know I need to get back to it. All my strikes are gone on through YouTube, so it's a green light now to gun. I was waiting for the April 11th and stuff like that, because I got another strike in January that actually got my channel removed. So I had to wait from April until all the other strikes went away. But and then I got the January strike and stuff like that. So I had to wait until April when that was removed. Everything's removed now. No more strikes and stuff like that. We're full speed ahead now to upload. Hopefully I don't get a strike, Mr. YouTube AI. Hopefully you don't strike my channel, because I'm doing everything I can not to get a strike and get terminated again. So anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about it and subscribe.